We're discussing the recent terrorist attack, a massacre really, in Israel under the hands of Hamas. And joining me to share his insight is Richard Marceau, Vice President, External Affairs with CIJA. Richard, your son is in Israel. I'd say terrible timing, but he should be able to go to Israel and not have this threat. Tell me about his experience, please.
So on that Saturday morning, he was at his partner's, and he at 6:30, sirens started to wail across Beersheba, which is where his partner lives. Uh, just to place people, it's like 20-minute drive, about 40 kilometers from the border of Gaza, and he had to rush. He had 60 seconds to get dressed and rush to a bomb shelter, to a bunker, because Hamas is launching missiles indiscriminately on Israeli villages and towns and cities, and that's his day to day now. He has to rush and to try to protect himself. Just earlier today, he went to a funeral, and on the way back, there were more. There was a barrage of missiles, and he had to stop the car, pull over, run out of the car, and lie down in the field to try to avoid being hit by a missile. This is the daily lives of Israeli civilians now, because there's a group of people who are looking for Jewish blood, and they've shown it by killing babies and raping women and taking hostages. And this is what the world must wake up to. There are people in this world who are pure evil. Hamas is doing what ISIS did. They are looking for Jewish blood, and the more Jewish blood is shed, the happier it is. And not only that, Tanya, if I may add, is that they don't care about Palestinian blood, because
Yes.
they are hiding among Palestinian civilians, which means that they're committing double war crimes. One is targeting Israeli citizens, and two, hiding in Palestinian civilian areas, with using innocent Palestinians as human shield, because for them life is cheap.
Yes, and perhaps that we have to think of that humanitarian crisis too. We know, has been declared, and understandably so, that Israel is preparing for some kind of invasion, ground, probably land and air as well, land and sea, or air and sea. Um, we know that there's been advance notice, which isn't usually given, that if it's clear out of the Gaza because we're coming, so please, if civilians need to leave, how has that evacuation been going? You mentioned Hamas doesn't care about some of their own Palestinian people.
So listen, Tanya, my heart breaks for Palestinian civilians. Many of them are taken in a way hostages by this savage group. But Israel is in a bind, and that's what they wanted. Because from their point of view, if Israel doesn't attack, they win. If Israel attacks, and there's a lot of civilian casualties, and unfortunately, it will likely be, they think they win. And now, so it's up to also to the international community to to be serious. Like they cannot say Israel has a right to defend itself. So Israel says, okay, we have to right to defend ourselves. But they say, be careful with civilians, and I understand that. So
Mhm.
Israel says, okay, civilians, please leave. So people say, well, you can't do that because it's ethnic cleansing. And so Israel says, okay, well, so we're going to give notice. And people say, well, we can't give notice and encourage people to leave those places because it's also ethnic cleansing. So if Israel attacks without warning people, people say, well, you're targeting civilians. If Israel says civilians, please leave, then they say, well, it's ethnic cleansing. Like
Yeah,
that
you don't
doesn't
win anyway.
right. And so if Israel has a right to self defense, like let it assume and let it exercise that right, because we know now that there's no cohabitation with Hamas. Like we thought that there was going to be a border. Israel left. There was not one Jew left in Gaza, and it's okay. So it's uneasy coexistence, but there's a border, and let's let people live separate. But now we know that as long as Hamas controls Gaza, as long as Hamas control Gaza, there's a strong possibility that this will happen again. That
and
Israeli mothers will be killed, babies will be massacred, and women will be raped and families destroyed. That cannot be allowed to stand.
And it's important, I think, for our viewers to know that Hamas is a listed terror group here in Canada. We recognize that as such.
Absolutely. So it makes it even mind-boggling that there are people here celebrating what happened. So not only on the it's so inhuman. So if you're a Canadian Jew, and that's the first question
Actually,
you ask,
Richard, I'm going to
how does
pause you
it?
there. We've got to cut to commercial, but this is going to be my next question right when we come back.
Okay.